Hey everybody, welcome into the Live and Learn podcast. Hope we're doing well on this Monday, June the 9th. Beautiful day here in New Brunswick. We have a lot to dive into tonight following a very interesting weekend in the world of sports. Lots happening. Yes, it's June and things are slowing down, but there's still lots to talk about, still a whole lot to get into. So we got lots to touch on today. Later on the program, we're going to talk about the tennis from over the weekend at Roland Garros on the red clay. Both the women's and the men's finals were fantastic. In particular, the men's final yesterday. We'll talk about both winners and why I think tennis is in a good place right now moving forward. We're also going to talk UFC 316, which was held in New Jersey, Brick City on Saturday night. We'll talk about the big winners and a fun pay-per-view. I enjoyed it. Went down to St. John, watched it with friend of the program, Seamus Fillmore. So really fun to see my brother and enjoy some fights. And there's a firing in Dallas, and it wasn't the Cowboys or the Dallas Mavericks doing something stupid. But we'll get to that in just a little bit because that was that one shocked me. But let's start today with Stanley Cup Final, Game 3 on tap tonight in a few hours. Live in Sunrise, my home state, one of them. Series tied at 1 apiece after 2 phenomenal games to start the Stanley Cup Final. The Oilers win in overtime in Game 1. The Panthers respond with a double overtime win in Game 2. Typically, the first round is the benchmark. It's the best, to me, it's the best round of the playoffs. And from there, the hockey gets progressively worse because people get injured, people get tired, and it just goes downhill from there. Conference final certainly had that feel. Wasn't great hockey. Was a couple of blowout series. But yet, here we are. And the Stanley Cup Final, the first 2 games, it's hard to find something bad to say about both games. Phenomenal theater. Incredible performances. You're seeing the balance of the Edmonton firepower, how skilled they are, how deadly they can be. And then you get to see Florida with their defensive structures and their rats, so to speak, stepping up and being their most important players. Whether it's Sam Bennett, who has 13 goals, which leads the playoffs. 12 of those coming on the road, by the way. It could be Brad Marchand scoring 2 goals on breakaways in Game 2, including the double overtime winner. Nate Schmidt leading Florida's back end in points. The journeyman, kind of forgotten about defenseman who was in Washington, who was in Winnipeg, and has had a career resurgence with the Florida Panthers. Game 3 to me, so Game 2 to me, before we move to Game 3, had so much interesting. You had Evan Bouchard, who had such an excellent start to the game, was all over the puck, fast, moving it, had 3 points on the game. And yet, you could have 3 points. If I went through the whole game tape, I don't think he played that well. Which is crazy to say, but I'll say it and mean it. And what's crazy about the series so far, Florida's had leads going into a third period. They had never lost a game when leading after 2 periods under Paul Maurice in the playoffs. They've almost lost twice. They lost game 1, double overtime in game 2. They give up the lead in both of these games. Corey Perry scoring with 17.8 seconds left in the third period to push it to overtime. So much drama, so much theater. And the hockey's just been phenomenal. The product. People can't say enough good things. You're seeing it. You're seeing Evander Kane has been a one-man wrecking crew. Just destroying people all over the ice. Sam Bennett crashing into a goaltender every other shift, which is making people go crazy. Connor McDavid playing like a psychopath, and I mean that as a compliment. And we have a 1-1 series. Overall, I think Edmonton's been the better team. There are two games. If you're going through period by period, I think Edmonton's been better. Now, Florida clogged up the neutral zone. Florida did not allow as many scoring chances. And quite frankly, in the overtime periods, I think Florida played better. I think Florida had better scoring chances. Stuart Skinner made some big saves. Edmonton got some breaks when Brad Marchand hit the post in the first overtime. All this has done for me really is justify my opinion that this is going to be a long series, that you have two teams that are so closely contested, two teams that, while different, bring similar things to the table. And it's very interesting how both teams approach. I think they're different, but they're similar. Talent, physicality, attack. They do it all. And what I find so interesting, Marchand was really a cast-off in Boston. They couldn't wait to get rid of him. He was see you later, and I understood it. But so many teams could have looked at him, and Florida scoops him up. Bill Zito's one of the best GMs, and he knows what he's doing. And he gets Brad Marchand. Brad's been phenomenal for Florida. They're not here without him. Crush the Leafs like he does every time he plays them. He's got 3 goals in the Stanley Cup Final already. He's 36, including a double overtime winner. He's playing decent minutes. Huge part of the team. Paul Maurice can't talk highly enough about him. His mother in the stands seems like a fun time. Really just join it up with all those Edmonton fans pissed off that her son gets a big goal in their barn. And on the other side, you have a guy that I knew could still play, that I knew was still good, but then you have stupid organizations that would never want him because they're stupid. Corey Perry. Corey Perry could have been had by anybody. Didn't work out in Chicago for whatever reason. And you see him get to Edmonton and settle in. Become a key part of that team. Become such an important part of the puzzle. gets the tying goal to go overtime, is on the power play, plays with McDavid a lot of shifts. 40 years old, he played nearly 26 minutes on Friday. Still delivering, still important, still can skate, still pisses people off. And again, teams could have had him for nothing. But no. Go ahead, take him. Looking ahead to tonight, I think Edmonton needs this game tonight. They need the split, but I think they need to win tonight. They lost last year. They have more to prove. They need to prove that they can beat Florida. Florida knows that they can beat Edmonton. And I think you can look at it and go, God, they could have had them. They could be up 2-0, winning both games at home, Florida on their heels, and yet they didn't. And we're at 1-1, two extremely close teams. Hard to differentiate the talent. Extremely hard. McDavid's been great. I think Knobloch played him way too much in game. He played him 34 minutes. He played more than any other player, including defensemen, which never happens. But he's the best player in the world, and I know he doesn't want to get off the ice. Draisaitl played a ton as well. I think for Edmonton, you're banking on your best players being great, and Florida's gotten to the Stanley Cup Final without their best players having to be that good, pardon me. Sasha Barkov, Matthew Tkachuk, Carter Verhaeghe, Sam Reinhart. They've been good, really good in spurts, but never great. Marchand, Bennett have been as good as any forward on that roster. As impactful. I think Tkachuk's got he's got a torn hamstring. I have no proof, but that's what I think his injury is. He's got no burst. He's got to his skating. He seems to be just laboring every time he's on the ice. He's not going to be great. So I wouldn't expect that. Sasha Barkov, I don't know if he's dealing with anything. Probably is, but so is everybody. Aaron Ekblad very well could have broke his hand when he blocked a shot the other night. That was in overtime. Ryan Nugent-Hopkins is a game-time decision for the Oilers tonight. He's banged up. So there's a lot of things that can go wrong. A lot of what ifs, a lot of what's happening. Florida beating Edmonton, it might just be, can our best guys be great for a couple of games? You look at this series so far. Nate Schmidt has 4 points. Depth defenseman. Brad Marchand's got 3 goals. Sam Bennett has 3 goals. Those are all not guys you'd expect to be that good. This far in. Kulikov's got a goal in the series. Dmitry Kulikov. Barkov, no points, 2 games. Tkachuk, no points, 2 games. Barkov has to play against very good opposition. I understand that. Tough assignment. However, has to be a little bit more. Has to be something. Production somewhere, points, assists, a tangible impact on the game. Anything but a 1-goal game, I'd be surprised. Because it's been that close. It's been that nip and tuck. This might be hyperbole because we're living in it. And we don't know. We only think about what's happening in the moment. Like you can go to a great restaurant and go, God, that was a really good, brother, but the best piece of steak I've ever had. You're thinking about it because you just ate it. Now, go to Outback, you're going to have a good steak every time you go there. So it's not a big question mark. Been there like 3 times in my life. Great. Love it. Well done, of course. And saying all that, these 2 games have been phenomenal. This is reminding me of the Boston-Vancouver 2011 final. I love that series. That was physical. Oddly enough, it had Marchand in it. And you had the Vancouver Canucks, who were more talented. And you had Vancouver with the Sedins and Burrows. And they had Alex Edler, who was a chippy guy. But you look at that team, they had a lot of guys that were high-end, top of their game, peak of their powers in the sport. Sedins being the main culprit there. And it went 7. And Vancouver had home ice, and we all know how that ended with Boston winning 4-0 in Game 7. This series is going 6 or 7 games, and I think Boston is Florida, and I think Vancouver is Edmonton in this analogy. Vancouver's the favorite. Vancouver's the boxer that has never lost. Edmonton's got these great players, great names, all these special talents. But you got Florida, who are greasy, chippy, and will do whatever it takes to win. You might not like their tactics. You might not like their team. You might not like Marchand, Bennett. They don't care. I don't care. A win's a win. As a young boy, when I used to care about individual teams, I didn't care how the Miami Dolphins won. I just wanted them to win because they never did. They never did. So when I saw them beat the Patriots, and it was in a regular season, and we're already 4 games under 500, working to make the playoffs, and we stunk with Jay Cutler, I didn't care because we beat those sorry bitches from New England. It doesn't matter. A win's a win's a win. Style points are irrelevant. How you win. Tonight, I got the Oilers tonight winning on the road in Game 3. Another close game. I count when it's a 1-goal game, an empty netter, that's a 1-goal game to me. Maybe not if you're gambling, because you want out that 1.5. So I get that. You want that empty netter. But I like Edmonton tonight, 4-3. I think we get a McDavid game where he goes off. He carries the boats. Leads the team. On the road, first playoff game in Florida since the Game 7 loss last year. I'm glad they got 2 days off. It's that double overtime game. I mean, I was tired. Imagine I watched that game till it was 1:30. Couldn't fall asleep for a while because, adrenaline and whatnot. So I hear people always say, "Oh my God, I was falling asleep, my eyes were like I can't." They're like same with UFC. Like Friday, just I know you're not interested, but you'll hear about my life here. Friday night, go to bed about 2:30, 3 o'clock probably, because I just couldn't fall asleep after. Wake up at 6 to go to work. Then, like I said, go to St. John, visit my good friend, Seamus. We watch UFC till 2:15. Don't get to bed until 3, probably 3:15. And I'm up at 10 after 6. It's not a whole lot of sleep in 2 days, but built different. What can I say? I like Edmonton tonight, 4-3 on the road. Take a 2-1 series lead. McDavid is in on 3 of the goals. 3-point night for McDavid is my prediction. Before we move off of hockey, some other notes. Friday, I'm going about my business, being a good citizen, walking around in the nice summer heat, trying to shed a few lbs, listening to a podcast or two. And I get an update that the Dallas Stars have fired Pete DeBoer after 3 seasons. I have some thoughts on this. First of all, not being surprised about something doesn't mean it was a smart decision. For instance, when Tom Thibodeau was fired, I was actually surprised because the Knicks got so far. Conference final, first conference final in a very long time. The Knicks, a franchise that do no winning. And you go, okay, if you lost in the first round of the Pistons, makes sense. 5 years, you should beat the Pistons. You couldn't do it. But then I go, conference final, you lose in 6 to the Pacers, and the Pacers were better than you. Makes no sense. Dallas lose to Edmonton. Wasn't a good series. They should have played harder. But Edmonton owns them at the moment. Edmonton does have the 2 best players in the world. So it was a tough break. After the Game 5 loss where Jake Ottinger was pulled, Peter DeBoer basically said it was Jake Ottinger's fault. Should he have gone about it that way? Probably not. But he's a coach. I'm not. You're not. So, and he's had a ton of success wherever he goes. So I trust his judgment more than you, me, and Dupree. So moving forward here, Peter, this is after the coach's hiring cycle is over. Joel Quenneville went to the Ducks. Dan Muse gets hired by the Penguins. Never heard of him, to be completely honest, and I follow sports pretty closely. Marco Sturm, good for Marco Sturm, gets a job in Boston. But then Dallas fires Pete DeBoer 3 weeks before a draft and after getting to another conference final with another year on his contract. The word for this is cowardly. And it's allowing the inmates to run the asylum. Should employees have rights? Sure. Should you just be able to be treated like absolute shit from your boss? Probably not. Should you be allowed to be yelled at by your boss? Yeah. I think it happens less and less, in particular in this country, for other reasons. But Peter DeBoer calling out his goaltender after a game to me, is not out of bounds. It's not illegal. Is it smart? Maybe not. But he did it. And he felt confident about it, and I see where he's coming from. He's frustrated. Ottinger stunk. Mikko Rantanen stunk. Roope Hintz had a fractured foot. J-Rob was hurt most of the playoffs. Miro Heiskanen was hurt for most of the playoffs. And they got to the third round. They should have lost to Colorado, and yet they made it to the conference final. So I think it was a success more than any. The odds makers, everybody other than me, had Colorado beating Dallas in the first round. Everybody had Colorado going to Stanley Cup Final. They didn't fire their coach. Players didn't like Peter Boer because he criticized him. This is so stupid. So stupid. Okay, he was a little gruff. Okay, he might not have been your cup of tea. He wasn't a player's coach. So, that team played Game 5 like a Toronto Maple Leafs team plays a closeout game, which is with no pride and no effort. I don't want to be in that club. That's on players. That's not on coaches. That's not on adjustments. Those players made a tangible decision not to show up. That's on them. One of the best coaches in the league gets fired because he criticizes a sorry team in that moment. Plus, they make him go out there and do media after the season and then fire him after, which I hate. It's becoming more and more common in the sports world. And my thought is, who are they going to hire? Who's available that anybody worth anything would want? If you look at like Peter Laviolette is bandied around. Lavi's coached everywhere. Just coached the Rangers. To little success. Missed the playoffs this year. He's going to demand a high salary. I wouldn't do it. I see Glenn Gulletson among the candidates for head coach. He's been head coach once. Didn't go well in Calgary. And I just don't see a whole lot of candidates that excite me. I'm looking up articles now. And I don't know. I see a piece here, 10 coaches. Peter Laviolette, pass. Torts, not going to happen. Gerard Gallant, no. Jay Woodcroft, it's probably the best one available, honestly. Steve Ott, I don't think he's living in St. Louis. I don't think he's going to get the job. There's bringing up AHL guys. David Carl, he signed an extension at University of Denver. He's not going to NHL, even though Dallas would be a good job. This team underperformed. It's not all on Peter DeBoer, and it made it seem like it is, and it justifies the players' play and their behavior after the fact by doing this. To me, he's one of the best coaches in the league. You don't fire one of the best coaches in the league because a few players don't like him. Again, cowardly. Stupid decision. I don't know where Dallas goes. They're in an interesting spot. They're still a good team, but this might have been their last crack. They got to decide if they want to bring Jamie Benn back. They have to decide if they want to re-sign Mikael Granlund, what they want to do on the back end. Do they actually like Jay Gottinger, who's starting an 8-year contract extension? Can he be their guy? So lots of big decisions looming for the Dallas Stars. Let's pivot to tennis. I love tennis. Tennis is really a sport that pops up big twice a year. 4 times a year. The majors. And maybe the Canadian Open. But this weekend, and really this past week, you got great tennis for the best tennis players in the world in the biggest moments on the red clay. On Friday, you get Alcaraz playing Musetti. Musetti, who's kind of a clay court specialist, continues to improve, will be in the top 5 in the rankings for the first time. He very much could win a major before his career is over. Best chance on clay. But he wins the first set. He drops the second set in a tiebreaker. And from then on, I think the life just went out of him, knowing he's playing Carlos Alcaraz. You get Jannik Sinner playing Novak Djokovic. Djokovic had multiple breaks, had opportunities. It was a 3-set match that went over nearly 3.5 hours. Great tennis, great battle. But Sinner takes it in 3 sets, and it was really a moment of, I think, for Novak Djokovic to go, okay, these guys are a step above me. I'm not as good as I used to be. He's still great. He still beats 90% of the tour. But he's not beating Sinner. And he's not beating Alcaraz. So then you get the number 1 and number 2 player in the world, Sinner, playing Alcaraz in the French Open final. Sinner takes the first 2 sets. It looks like he is going to cruise because he gets up a break early in the 3rd set. But Alcaraz doesn't go away. He doesn't back off, starting to make Sinner run more and more. And he finds a way to win the 3rd set after getting a break. Wins it 6-4. I still didn't panic. I'm like, okay, Sinner lost the set. Alcaraz had never won in a major down 2-0. He'd also never lost in a Grand Slam final. But I'm like, it's still a long way to go. Sinner was playing good tennis. Sinner gets a break. It's 5-3 in the 4th set. And he has triple match point. Alcaraz serving. And he goes on to hit 3 unforced errors in a row on 3 match points. Alcaraz gets the hold, and Alcaraz breaks Sinner on the very next service game. Alcaraz wins the 4th set in an easy tiebreak. We get to the 5th set. Both guys' serve is going well, but Sinner ran out of fuel. We get to 5 hours and 20 minutes. We go into a super tiebreak to 10 points, and Alcaraz dominates it, winning 10-2. Decisively, incredible drop shots. Sinner started to cramp his legs. I started to give up 5 hours, 29 minutes. Alcaraz comes all the way back to win back-to-back French Opens. First time he's come back from 0-2 down. He's 5-0 in in major finals. He's won his last 5 against Sinner. And you have Sinner, who's kind of this drug cheat, who nobody likes, who sat out for a while. And Alcaraz kind of beats the guy nobody wants to win, which is interesting. He takes down the bully, if you will. And it was a sad thing because both guys gave it so much. Sinner crying after the match, sitting there having to go through the whole ceremony. And I don't think they're best of friends because they're competitors and they know how good one another are. It would have been Sinner's first major not on a hard court. He's starting to play just better and better on the clay, but Alcaraz, this is his best surface. And he knows how to win. And he can use all his tools to find a way to win in Roland Garros. Nearly 5.5 hours of incredible theater. 2 guys putting everything they have into winning a match. 2 guys just seeing what they can accomplish, what they can put their body, how far they can push their body until it breaks. And Alcaraz never gave up. He never seemed to lose faith. And he found a way to win. You had for 20 years Djokovic, Federer, Nadal. And oddly enough, Djokovic is still playing at a high level. But you had those 3 guys. They put tennis on the map. They made tennis interesting. They dominated it. It's rare to find guys who won majors during that time. Juan Martín del Potro won a U.S. Open. Andy Murray won 3 majors. I think he'd be one of the greatest tennis players ever if he didn't play in his generation. If he played with McEnroe and he played with Jimmy Connors, he would have more majors than them. Just one guy's opinion. He was that good. But he played against the best. And you see those guys leave and you go, what's going to happen? Tennis is fine. Men's tennis has these 2 guys for the next 10 to 12 years. A rivalry that's already starting. A rivalry, yes, out of respect, but also out of both guys wanting to accomplish the world. Wanting to be better than their counterpart. Alcaraz is incredibly unique in the way that he plays. His ability to hit a drop shot out of anywhere. His ability to hit an incredible shot anywhere on the court out of nowhere. He's won a U.S. Open already. He's won a Wimbledon. He's won on the French. He can win anywhere. He beat Djokovic in a Wimbledon final. He's beaten Sinner at the French Open final. He shows up in the biggest moments and he wins them. He has 5 majors by the age of 22. Just like Rafael Nadal did. Joining that elite list of young guys winning that many majors. Currently, he's the best tennis player in the world. It's also nice that he's the funnest tennis player to watch, maybe ever. He's so unique. So unique in what he brings to the table. And I love every second of it. It's phenomenal. It's fascinating. You also have, Alexander Zverev in the mix, who's a good player. And you have Grigor Dimitrov, who's still there. You have other guys. Because I think there'll be guys on the periphery that win more majors in this generation than when it was Djokovic, Federer, and Nadal, because they were just so consistent. You'll have this generation's Del Potro win a major sometime. And Djokovic is still in the mix until he retires. And his best shot at winning a major to me is at Wimbledon in a month on the grass, because I think that's his best surface. That's the thing about the French. You get the French, 3 weeks from now, you get Wimbledon. The best major of the year. My favorite major of the year, despite the fact that it's surrounded by the royal family, who I hate. But the grass, all of it, phenomenal theater. But yesterday's match was an all-time classic. If you missed it, what the hell were you doing? Gardening? Mowing the lawn? I guess that's productive, but I'd rather not be productive than miss yesterday. The women's final, Coco Gauff defeated world number 1 Aryna Sabalenka to win her second major title at the age of 22. She's now won a U.S. Open and a French Open. This was her second French Open final. She lost her only other to Iga Swiatek. She lost the first set, didn't get rattled, continued to play hard, and came out the other side with a victory. She's had mixed results, broke up with her coach, Brad Gilbert, but she played really well going into the French Open. You had players like Swiatek, who had won back-to-back, struggling going into the tournament, losing to Sabalenka in the semifinal. Back-to-back majors this year with an American woman winning. Madison Keys winning in Australia, Coco Gauff winning the French. So great for American women's tennis. First American woman to win the French Open since Serena in 2016. And Gauff played Madison Keys in the quarterfinals at this major, so both really good runs again. She can win more, certainly. I think Sabalenka is the most well-rounded female on the tour. Brings a lot to the huge serve, big power. But she loses a lot of finals. Both of Coco Gauff's wins came against Sabalenka in a final. Sabalenka also, after the match, it was weird. She said, yeah, I think if Swiatek would have beaten me, she would have beaten Coco after the match, which that's just poor taste. That's just bad sportsmanship, sportswomanship, 2025. And she also, the conditions were crap, and we both played terrible. Shut up is what I really mean to say. You lost. Coco Gauff beat you. Suck it up. Take it on the chin. Move on. Go try to win Wimbledon. Which she very well could, because she goes deep at every major. Well, Coco Gauff has lived up to the hype. You think about it. 22, 2 majors. 2 different services. It's impressive. She's good. And I think her mental headspace is getting better as she grows up as well. So that's only going to help her. She can play. Absolutely. But a phenomenal French Open. Wimbledon in a few weeks. The best major of the year. Love it. Saturday night, it was UFC 316 in Brick City in New Jersey. There's been some talk about the UFC lately. Oh, it's boring. These cards suck. May wasn't a great month for the UFC. Bunch of events at their Apex, which is their basically storage unit. No fans, really. Kind of boring. I don't mind it, but some people hate it. I listen to 90% of my sports on mute, so what do I care? But people hate that. Went to Montreal. Great main event. One of the best fights of the year so far. But you get to June, and you go, this is a fun month. You got UFC 316 in Brick City. You got a fight night in Atlanta this coming Saturday, the L, as they say. And then you get a fight night in Azerbaijan for the first time on June 21st before another pay-per-view on the 28th. But Saturday night, it was about the bantamweights, men and women. Main event was Merab Dvalishvili defending his title for the second time, his second title defense, against the Sugar Sean O'Malley. They fought September. Merab won the belt. Merab then defended his title against Umar Nurmagomedov in January. And rematches. Sugar had not fought since September. And while the result was more dominant than the initial fight, I think it was closer. Now, O'Malley didn't win a round, but his takedown defense was significantly improved. He did a better job at distance man, as good as distance management you can do against Merab. But in the end, Merab is a cardio machine. He does not get tired, and he wore O'Malley down. He continued to come at him. His striking was improved. And Sugar stuffed the first couple in the first round, but Merab comes back, takedown, get to the ground. Even if the opponent gets right back up, he'll bring you down again. He'll pick you up on his shoulder and slam you. He did that to O'Malley just like he did to Henry Cejudo. He does it against former champions. He does it against everybody. He won the first two rounds. We're in the third. He's controlling the round. He gets a north-south choke, and Sean O'Malley taps. Merab defends the title for the second time in 2025. His 13th straight win overall, which ties an elite list with John Jones and Demetrius Johnson and Anderson Silva. An elite group. So, Merab is going to dominate this division for a long time to come here. Because I don't see somebody that's initially, I think, okay, they're going to beat Merab. If we look at his resume, he's beaten Sugar Sean O'Malley twice, former champion. He's beaten Henry Cejudo, an Olympic gold medalist and a double champion. He's beaten Petr Yan, former champion, skunked him 5 rounds to none. Everybody, Jose Aldo, he dominated, former champion. Doesn't matter who it is, Merab will break you because he's not going to get tired and you will. And his mystique is continuing to grow for me because the worst thing you could say about him was that he was boring. English is not his first language. He's from Georgia, but he does his best speaking English. Lived in New York. Now he lives in Vegas. He's good buddies with Aljamain Sterling, another former bantamweight champion. He had to work his ass off just to get an opportunity to win the belt. 10 straight wins at the bantamweight division to get a title opportunity. And I think the fans like him. Whoever the UFC match him up with, it'll do good because Merab is fun. He's likable. He's dominant. He does funny skits on social media. He likes to fight all the time. Said he'd like to fight at least 1 to 2 more times this year. He's already defended the belt twice. More than most champions can say. Went into this fight with 2 broken toes. And he's only getting better, is the crazy thing. I think for him, it doesn't really matter. He'll say he'll take on all comers. Corey Sandhagen's a really good bantamweight who's kind of like Merab, worked his tail off without getting an opportunity. They haven't fought. Sandhagen did lose to Merab's training partner, Aljamain Sterling, way back when. First round, rear naked choke. But he's got some impressive wins. Beat Davison Figueiredo, finished Davison Figueiredo in May. I think it makes the most sense. It's a sellable fight. I think you put that fight on. You put that on in New York in November at Madison Square Garden. Merab's never fought there, said he wants to fight. I think he deserves to pick where he fights next if it's in New York. Sandhagen, Merab, fun fight. There's a Pantoja option who's the flyweight champion, but I think Pantoja wants to stay at flyweight and just become the greatest flyweight of all time, which I don't blame him. Moving up and fighting Merab in your first fight, that's hell. But Merab's just dominant. I don't think Sandhagen can beat him. I think it's an interesting style matchup. Both guys good grapplers, good looking for submissions, but it's tough. For Sean O'Malley, back-to-back title fight losses to Merab. If I'm Sugar Sean O'Malley, I am moving up to 145 pounds. I'm moving up to featherweight. That weight cut's always been tough for him. He's got good length. And I think part of it is you look up and go, the champion's Merab. It's going to be a while before Sean O'Malley gets a title shot again. A long time. So let's move to a new division and see what I can accomplish there. If we look at the UFC rankings at featherweight, I think there's guys that could be fun fights for him. And I think he'll want some time off. But you have Aljamain Sterling up there. That'd be a fun rematch. They fought once at bantamweight. Aljamain's always said he got rushed back to fight. Would love that one back, maybe. Gene Silva, Josh Emmett. 2 guys that like to strike. That could be fun. Arnold Allen, another guy, good striker. Ortega. So there's Dan Ige. So there's guys there for O'Malley to fight at 145. If he stays at 135, I don't really know. I didn't think he would. So there's question marks there. But Merab's one of the best fighters in the UFC right now, period. Any division, any weight class, pound for pound, one of the best in the world. Dominant champion. In the co-main event, we saw Juliana Pena defending her bantamweight title against Kayla Harrison. Kayla Harrison, a 2-time Olympic gold medalist in judo, 2-time champion in the PFL, But her biggest struggle is making the weight. In judo, she competed at 165 pounds. For most of her MMA career, she competed at 155. 135 is significant. She walks around, she says 175, 180. You see her on the scale, and she looks like she's going to die. But you see her when she's rehydrated, and she looks like the beast that she is. She was the largest favorite for a challenger going into a title fight in UFC history, minus 750. And her power, her takedowns were too much for Juliana Pena. She was able to land a Kimura in the with 6 seconds left in the second round, get the finish, and secure UFC gold for the first time in her career. Incredible. She was thrilled. Amanda Nunes, the GOAT, comes into the cage after they face off. Looks like they're going to fight later in the year, early 2026, as Nunes comes out of retirement. They used to train together at American Top Team in Coconut Creek, Florida. So there's lots of history. To me, the two best women in mixed martial arts ever competing against one another. They sold it face to face. You have the history. It's a great female fight in MMA. There aren't that many right now, and the UFC has one. It could be the last fight for both of these women. Amanda had already retired. Kayla Harrison, I don't think wants to do that weight cut that many more times to 135. So this could be the end for both women, but it's a huge fight. You book it, you put it on, you put it at a big venue, you sell the shit out of it, and it's a spectacle. Kayla Juliana was not close, but the mystique of watching Kayla, the thought of what you're going to get if she wins, made it a big fight. It was fun. The rest of the card, Joe Pyfer defeats Kelvin Gastelum. Good win for him. 2 straight for Joe Pyfer. He's kind of got this routine where, and I think he's really good. He's got a lot to bring to the table. Knocks down Gastelum twice in the first round with big shots, hitting him to the body, piecing him up. From then on, he kind of slows down. Gastelum starts to get better, landing decent strikes. But Pyfer took the first 2 rounds. Kelvin won the third. Pyfer wins via decision, unanimous decision. And it's a good win for him. I think there's fun rank fights for him at 185. He's still 28 years old, still learning the game. He's got a lot to learn, certainly. But he's game. Joe Pyfer I like him a lot. Good personality, good fighter. He'll be here for a while. Mario Bautista dominates Patchy Mix. Clean sweep all 3 rounds. Patchy Mix's UFC debut coming over from Bellator. Looked like a punching bag. I had talked to people that I know that watch UFC. And I'm like, no, this guy's really good. I've seen him fight many times. He didn't look like himself at all. Now, Mario Bautista's good. Don't get me wrong. Mario Bautista's won 8 straight fights. Beaten some good guys. Beaten former champions like Jose Aldo, like Patchy Mix. But Patchy Mix looked dreadful. What they do with him moving forward when it comes to booking his next fight, very interesting. I don't have a clue. Same thing happened with Patricio Pitbull, who got dominated in his first fight. He gets Dan Ige in July. We'll see. Kevin Holland dominates Vicente Luque, submits him with a Darce choke in the second round, his second straight win. He's so much better at 170. Don't go to 180. Stay at 170. See what you can do. He will now enter the rankings. His third fight of 2025. So active, big character, loves Trump, from Texas. Wants to fight Colby Covington, which is funny. They're not going to book that, but it's funny. At 170, I think he could do some damage against certain guys. Certainly. Good striking, good on the ground when he wants to be. If I look at welterweight, he's going to join the rankings. You have Carlos Prates. That'd be a fun fight. Jeff Neal could be good. Gilbert Burns, who just fought, that could be a fight that could work. Then you get those top guys like Shavkat, Sean Brady, Bilal, Leon Kamaru, Ian Gary, a lot of good guys. But Hall and Covington would, yes, I see Casey Ward. It would be a media circus. It would be. It'd be insane. Insane, that fight with those two guys. But I saw on Twitter this afternoon that Kevin Holland tweeted, "Fight news coming soon." So it looks like he's already got his next fight booked. Because he's insane. Don't know if it's at 70. Don't know if it's at 85. I don't want him to go to 85, but there's guys, but I think at 170 there's funner fights. Stay on the feet. Jeff Neal couldn't fight in April. He could be returning from an injury. They could book that. Carlos Prates has been talking about since losing Ian Gary. Wants to get back in there soon. That could work. So Colby Covington hasn't fought this year. Maybe. I don't think so, but maybe. We'll see. But welterweight's heating up. You got a lot of fights coming up. Saturday night, you get Kamaru Usman returning to the octagon for the first time in 2 years, fighting Joaquin Buckley. Big fight, big main event. Is it a passing of the torch situation where Buckley can jump into the top 5 and really cement himself passing Usman? You just had a new champion in Jack Della. You got also in that division upcoming, looks like Michael Morales is going to fight Leon Edwards. Possibly in September at the Noche UFC Fight Night. That would be fun. I'm in. Stephen Thompson's booked for UFC Nashville. This division's busy. Good fighters. And I love 170 right now. Kevin Holland's one of those guys. Also on the card, Josh Van. Oh, I love Josh Van. Beats Bruno Silva, a tough Brazilian in the third round. Knocked him down 3 different times. I found this stat early. It's insane. Courtesy of Logan Offord from Twitter. Find it here. When Joshua Van makes the walk against Brandon Royval at UFC 317 on the 20th of June, it will be his 6th fight in the last 350 days. That is a fight every 58 days. That's incredible. And the kid is so good. So good. So he fights Saturday night, wins. And then I hear today that Manel Kape, who's supposed to be fighting Brandon Royval, International Fight Week, great fight, is out. Fractured his foot in training, unavailable. They told Josh Van about it Saturday night. He is getting the biggest opportunity of his career on 3 weeks' notice against Brandon Royval, who is so game. Josh Van is going to fight the number 1 ranked guy in the flyweight division. And I saw he's entering the fight as the favorite, which is crazy. Royval's really, really good. Royval's only lost to Pantoja in the division and Moreno once. He beats everybody else. He's right there with the best of the best. Great opportunity for Joshua Van, the Myanmar native. But that's a tough test against Brandon Royval, who's just so money. But I love it. International Fight Week, 3 weeks. Also, Waldo Cortez Acosta gets a victory over the Polar Bear, Sergey Spivak. His biggest win of his career. He's won 5 in a row at heavyweight. And Murskanov, 15-0, another finish, 10 straight fights with a knockdown. Another just nasty finish. Give him a ranked opponent. Give him somebody good in the light heavyweight division. He very much could be a former, even with he's only 5'10", fighting at light heavyweight, but he's nasty. And he's got power. He can get you on the ground. This dude's good. Fun card. All in all, I enjoyed it. You get another pay-per-view in 3 weeks. Like I said, you get UFC Atlanta this coming Saturday. Fight night. But it's a good fight night. Usman, Joaquin Buckley. Thug Rose, Namajunas, Miranda Maverick, co-main. Former bantamweight champion of the world, Cody No Love, Garbrandt fighting Ronnie Barcelos. Alonzo Menafield fighting Umar Sy in the light heavyweight. Fun fight. Rebooked from the Apex a few weeks ago, Paul Craig, Bear Jew fighting Rodolfo Bellato. Michael Chiesa, the veteran, the tough winner, fighting Court McKee. Ricky Simone fighting the Canadian Charles Jourdain in the bantamweight division. Some good fights. So, and then you get UFC Azerbaijan, which is Khalil Roundtree Jr. fighting Jamal Hill. Oh, love that fight. Before we wrap up today, we got U.S. Open starting on Thursday at Oakmont in Pennsylvania. Course looks like it's going to be Murderer's Row. Thick, rough. If Rory plays the way he did at the Canadian Open, he'll be shooting, a 90. But the Canadian Open was fun. Another playoff. It's got a theme for the dramatic. Ryan Fox birdies 18 to push it to a playoff with Sam Burns. Sam Burns misses a 5-footer on the first playoff hole. He'll regret that. We go to the fourth playoff hole. Ryan Fox, just a butter fade to about 6 feet, looking for eagle. Sam Burns puts one on the green, rolls off into the fescue, chip, long putt, settles for a par on the hole. Ryan Fox birdie. It's his second win in 3 weeks. He won at Myrtle Beach in a playoff. He wins at the Canadian Open in a playoff. His first 2 wins on the PGA Tour. He's in the top 25 in the PGA standings. 3 guys have won multiple events this year. Scottie Scheffler, Rory McIlroy, Ryan Fox. That's the list. Also gets himself into the U.S. Open. So, awesome week for Ryan Fox. He had a lot of supporters there as well. Great. We'll talk later in the week about the U.S. Open. Best odds, how the course is looking. Like I said, doesn't look like it's going to be easy. We'll get Stanley Cup Final Game 3 tonight. We'll recap that later on in the week. We'll recap the NBA Finals Game 3 as well. That's all squared away at 1 apiece. Baseball, full swing. Blue Jays are red hot. They're in St. Louis playing the Cardinals. Aaron Judge, red hot for the Yankees, yet they lose a series to the Red Sox. So lots still happening in the world of sports. We'll be back later in the week. Thank you for hanging out tonight. Thank you for support as always. I'm your host, Noah Warren, and this is the Live and Learn podcast.